All right, we're gonna try something new here at the Bitterbirds. We got 4 dudes, no homo, but we got 4 dudes here, and we're gonna do our mock draft. So each one of us has 8 teams, and the way this is gonna work is
we got 4 dudes, no homo.
Oh man, the echo. All right, hold on.
And we're gonna do our mock draft.
Hold on, the echoes.
So each
Echo's gone. So we're gonna start right away. So number one, the number one guy, James has the number 1 pick. He's got the Cleveland Browns, and we're just gonna go through each pick. Each guy's got a different fucking team. So that's what we're going to do. Number 1 pick, James Worthington. Who you got for the Cleveland Browns? Should be obvious.
Easiest pick of the draft, Myles Garrett. He is by far the best prospect in the draft, so not going to make things complicated, taking him.
Yeah, but the Cleveland Browns, they might make things complicated.
They might reach for a quarterback and not even wait till pick 12, but I'm not the Cleveland Browns, so – I'm going to take Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I guess the interesting thing is for Cleveland is because you got the 12th pick as well. I would kind of wait for that quarterback and potentially even try to trade up. But at number 2, I got number 2. I've got the San Francisco 49ers. I might go a little bit off the board here. Brendan tried to talk me out of this pick before the show. He almost did, but he didn't. So I am going with safety, but I'm not going Jamal Adams. I'm going Malik Hooker. And my thought process here is their defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, worked with Gus Bradley in Jacksonville, was also with Seattle. And you look at that rangy safety for Ohio State, Malik Hooker, you think about Earl Thomas there at Seattle. So that's kind of like my thought process, get that rangy safety. But there is that, boomer bust, potential there with Hooker because he's basically a center field guy. He's got a lot of range, all that. But not the best tackler, overruns plays, doesn't have man-to-man cover skills yet. So there's some risk, but there's also a lot of reward. So I'm going Malik Hooker number 2. So number 3 now. Who's picking number 3?
I am. I'm picking for Chicago.
All right. So before I let you go, Mike Skolsky, we got a new member to the Bitterbirds, baby, Mike Skolsky.
How's it going?
He'll talk about himself though, so we'll just let him.
I'll talk about myself. I was fraternity. We're all fraternity brothers. We've been in fantasy leagues together. We always talk about the draft. So now I'm here just to help out with this community mock we got going.
Hell yeah! So who's your number 3? Who are you picking for Chicago?
Number 3, I'm be taking Jamal Adams, a safety out of LSU. He's arguably the most polished NFL ready player in the entire draft. And he's someone that can instantly come in and transform the entire identity of the Chicago Bears defense. When you think of him, you think of someone that has the potential to have an impact of like a Troy Polamalu, Brian Dawkins, where they can be a tone setter and the leader of your defense for years to come.
There it is. All right, so number 3, Jamal Adams. I'm writing all these down. So number 4, we're going to Brendan, our residential NFL draft scout. You've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who you taking?
I think, guys, when we watch the draft, I think the first 3 picks are pretty interesting, but I think the 4 pick is really the one that's really going to shape the draft the most. I think there's 4 guys or 5 guys, in my opinion, all who are really talented. The first 3 guys we talked about, also Lattimore and Foster. I think those 5 guys are definitively the top 5 talent in this draft. But the problem is none of them really make a ton of system sense. I mean, the Jags just paid a lot of money for their safeties. So, both safeties in theory are gone. Could they draft another one? Of course, but I don't think they would. Lattimore doesn't make sense because they just spend all that money on bringing A.J. Aboye in, and they also have Ramsey in the other corner, so he's gone. So I'm curious here what happens. To me, if I'm Jacksonville, I got to take Leonard Fournette. I got to get Blake Bortles some help. Even if we decide to move on from Blake Bortles next year, that's fine. But it's been a rotational door there, the running back position. I think Leonard Fournette's the pick here for the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4.
Sneaky, just a sneaky thing. Don't be surprised if even Leonard Fournette goes number 2 in San Francisco. I wouldn't be surprised by that as well. I mean, best running back in the class. And, yeah, he's explosive. He's a dude. Like that's the thing that you like to say, Brendan. He's a dude. He's a dude. So, all right, number 5, we're going Tennessee, the Titans, and that's James's pick. Who you going with?
I mean, not really a position of need here per se. It's not like a blaring need, but I can't pass up on the talent of Jonathan Allen with this pick. I mean, I think he's got the talent of a top 5 player in this draft. I think he can be a perennial Pro Bowl player, and I think that he would come in and play next to Jarrell Casey and give them even some more help up front. So I got to go with him.
All right, awesome. That's number 5. We move to number 6, the Jets, and Skolsky has New York. Who you got?
Fun fact, the last 8 drafts, the Jets have gone defense in the first round, and last year they were 30th in scoring offense. And now we have some uncertainty at QB. We think it might be Hackenberg. We think it might be Petty. And we also just lost Brandon Marshall. I think it's still a little too early to go QB, so I'm going to go O.J. Howard, tight end at Alabama. I know it's a little early for tight ends, but you're talking about someone who has all-pro potential and someone that can completely transform their offense, not to mention be a safety blanket for whoever their quarterback may be.
Yeah, Skolsky, I'm going to chime in here. I don't disagree with you in the slightest, man, because, the thing is with the freaking Jets, I mean, you're 100% right. They keep going defense, but for the Jets, they're constantly in the top 5, top 10 picks. They need to start picking solid picks and just move on. So O.J. Howard, Skolsky is a great pick here for the Jets. They need something there.
You can keep talking, Brendan. You got number 7 on the Chargers.
Man, this is a tough one here, okay? Because the 2 guys that the Chargers needed the most are both gone, in Hooker and Adams. They really, really needed help there with the safety position, after they lost Eric Weddle to the Ravens. So now the Chargers, they're in a unique spot here. Foster could make a ton of sense here. Lattimore can make a ton of sense here. Or if they really want to kind of have something on offense, he could go with one of the receivers. This is kind of a unique one for me, so I'm going to go the best talent here, and I'm actually going to go Lattimore. I think this makes a ton of sense. Pair him alongside of another all-pro corner they have on the other end. Get some more help. I think this makes a good sense for the Chargers, starting to transform into more of a defensive team moving forward with their youth here.
All right, so you go Marshawn Lattimore. That's exactly who I was going to pick. So we got our first snub here of the mock draft. I was going to go Lattimore at number 8 for Carolina. So now that changes things a little bit. So now since I have 15 minutes to make my selection, I'm going to use all of it. I'm just kidding. So, all right. I'm curious what they would do here. Maybe this wouldn't be what they do because he's not the top receiver of the class, but opposite of Kelvin Benjamin, the speed of John Ross. I don't think Cam Newton. I don't know if Cam Newton can overthrow him. So Cam Newton's got that gun. John Ross, I'm going to take him at number 8. That's going to be the guy. What do you guys think about that? Is that too early for him?
I think it's a good fit. I mean, you saw what Ted Ginn did in that offense, and he's superior in Ted Ginn in almost every single way. So, I mean, the only concern with him is his injury history, and if the teams are comfortable with that, then I could easily see him being the first wide receiver taken.
Yeah, he's not my number 1 receiver. He's my number 3, but for the fit, I think he's perfect there.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it's a good fit with Carolina next to Benjamin. I mean, he's more than just a speedster guy. He's a great route runner. But, yeah, the injury is going to be a question mark there. Can he stay healthy? I think, realistically, if they're looking at him with this pick, they might think of trading back. Obviously, we can't do trades, but I think it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Adrian. Where I'm kind of looking at you, I mean, I think Leonard Fournette's the guy who makes the most sense here. The Panthers run 80% of their run play as either power or ISO, and that's really where Leonard Fournette makes sense. But the trade-off is the Panthers, they run so much gun stuff. That's not what Leonard Fournette's cup of tea is. He is more of a true I running back. The guy who makes the most sense as the offset back is McCaffrey, but I think that's a little rich here, for him to go at 8. If Lattimore's gone, and we know that the Panthers' big need is offensive line, and all 4 of us here will agree there's no offensive lineman worth spending a top 8 pick on. Like James said, probably trading out would make the most sense.
Yep.
Philly Brown's gone. Ted Ginn's gone. Let's go ahead and get an upgrade here, and let's go with John Ross. I think that makes a ton of sense, Adrian.
Yeah, I think trade is definitely very, very possible for Carolina. So just from what you said, I mean, if Lattimore's gone, I think they could really use a cornerback. I would go him. But, yeah, other than that, John Ross seems like the pick. So number 9, we're going to James for the Bengals. Who you got?
All right. I really do like this player. I spoke about him a little bit before the show. I've seen him linked to the Bengals a lot. I'm going to go Reuben Foster here. I think the guy is going to be a hell of a player. I really, as an Eagles fan, would love to see him slide dust. But, I mean, for the Bengals, it makes a lot of sense. They need help at inside linebacker, and I think Foster is just right now the best talent available. So that's my pick.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got number 10. I've got the Bills. Now, I think Lattimore would be a good fit here. Obviously, he lost Stephon Gilmore, but Lattimore's gone. Foster just left. So I am going with the first quarterback off the board for Tyrod Taylor. He's got, I think, what they can get out of that contract in a year or something. So my guy, who I think is the number one quarterback, is Deshaun Watson. Trubisky, I know the Browns love him, but I got Watson as my number one, so I'm going Deshaun Watson at number 10 for the Bills.
I'm going to adamantly boo this pick.
Boo!
Proudly boo this pick. And
Boo!
because, thank you, Skolsky, for backing me up here.
It wasn't me, but I got you.
I
That
say
was
this,
me booing.
well,
I
I mean,
booing my own pick.
here's the thing. You know, O.J. Howard would be the dream pick here, I think, for the Bills. They need a little more offensive help. I think Tyrod Taylor doesn't get the credit he deserves, but I also understand if it's time to move on, so be it. If I'm the Bills, though, and I'm here, I'm picking another receiver because, you know, they just lost their second and their third receiver, and they still have yet to prove, can Sammy Watkins stay healthy for 16 games? I don't know that. So, you know, I would have probably taken, you know, one of the other receivers on the board, but I also get where you're coming from, Adrian, in your world.
I'll tell you what, I don't think any of these quarterbacks should be first rounders, but
No doubt.
I just went quarterback, so that's what I did. All right, who we got? Number 11. Number 11 is who? Hold on.
The Saints, it's me.
All right, James, go ahead.
Okay. Definitely got to think about this one. I do see there's the Saints definitely got to go defense here. I know there's one guy that slid down, but I'm gonna go with the Temple guy, Hassan Reddick here. The guy's an absolute beast. He's flying up the boards, obviously, because of his workouts. And I think that for him with the Saints, you can play him all sorts of places on the field. I think he's just has his ceiling is just there. I don't really think he has one. I think he can be an all-pro talent. I think he's going to be a good fit. So I'll take Reddick.
Oh, I like it.
I mean, Hassan Reddick has the talent to be the best linebacker of this group, but he absolutely could be better than Reuben Foster in a couple of years because of exactly like James said, his ability to play all over the field. And James, you're 100% right. New Orleans has got zilch on defense. So if they can get something like that, sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at Lattimore there, and he got picked, and he's my number one corner, and I know they need help with corners, but, I mean, I think Reddick here just makes a lot of sense for the value where they're at in the draft, so.
All right, number 12, Cleveland. If the draft turns out the way we have it, they're going to get their boy.
I was about to say, this is a dream scenario for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, there's talk about them taking him first overall, which I would think would be a giant mistake. But at 12, I think it'd be great. It'd be a great pick for them, and that'd be Mitch Trubisky, quarterback, North Carolina. Cody Kessler showed some promise, but you know when you have a QB coach, you have a coach that has the QB development skills of Hugh Jackson. This is someone that can possibly be the face of their franchise for years to come. There's some. I mean, with the Browns, you know, they have that running joke of how many quarterbacks they're going through, but that shouldn't scare them away from taking someone that could be their guy. So I'm going to go Mitch Trubisky.
Skolsky, you nailed it right there, brother. You can't be scared from drafting another quarterback because if that's the attitude, you're never going to draft a quarterback in the first round. This is 100% the dream scenario here for the Browns, but taking him at the 12th pick, I think this is the perfect kind of opportunity for the Browns. I agree with you completely, Skolsky.
Oh, actually, I was originally had Arizona. Should I pick for Arizona or should Skolsky?
If you're ready, you can go if you want. So I'm not going back to back.
Yeah. All right. I'll do 13. I'll do Arizona. This is where I am going a cornerback, second cornerback off the board. Now it's interesting who will go number 2. Garyon Conley has been rising up everybody's boards. So that's where I'll go here.
That's what I was going to take. So
number, going to play alongside Patrick Peterson. He's going to be the guy at number 13.
This is
There it is.
This is my.
Right.
I talked about this with Adrian in our defensive back show. I actually love Garyon Conley. I think he is really, really freaking good. And this kind of puts me in a tough spot here with the Eagles at the 14.
Yeah, the non-Eagles guy has the Eagles.
Yeah, so let's see here. You could get a great long snapper right now. I mean, an elite level long snapper at 14.
we got the Magic Man.
You got the Magic Man. So
He's getting old, though. You're going to have to replace him eventually.
Man.
Yeah.
So let me kind of walk you through what I'd be thinking here, Home Birds. Okay, Lattimore's obviously the dream fit. He's gone a while now. Okay, done. Garyon Conley, I think, would probably be the second best option. He just went ahead of me, so this is where I'm at. Foster and James talked about this too pre-show. Foster would have been an awesome steal for the Eagles here. He's gone. So now it becomes, to the Eagles, do you go with another corner, who I don't think the third best corner is a top 14 talent? Do you go with a receiver? I mean, you could get arguably the 1 or the 2 receiver here. Or do you go edge rusher, or do you go McCaffrey? There's a lot of options here on the table. Honestly, if this happened, of course, the Eagles, they're trading back because there's so many options here. But for the Birds, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey here. I think this is a great scheme fit for them. I would love to see what he could do in that offense. Get more help around, Carson Wentz. And the reason I pick him over a receiver, he can help in 4 downs. And there's not many players in the NFL that can help all 4 downs. So Christian McCaffrey is my pick here for the Birds.
You could make the argument that Christian McCaffrey, if he came out as a wide receiver, he'd be a top 3 route runner out of those guys. That's how electric his feet are. Now, for me, I wouldn't take him at 14, but that's just me. So the non-Eagles guy took the guy I didn't want. Damn it.
He's not my first choice, but I can't argue that the fit's there.
No, the fit's definitely there because
Doug Peterson comes from the Andy Reid tree, so having a halfback that can receive out of the backfield's a huge advantage in our offense. And like you said, it's someone that we can even line up as wide receiver sometimes. His route running is advanced for a running back. It's better than a lot of the wide receivers in this draft.
Yeah. All right. So here's what we'll do. We'll go around the board. We'll see who you guys would take since we are an Eagles show.
Okay.
James, who would you take at 14?
I think Bird hit the nail on the head. I think that if this does happen, I would want the Eagles to trade back, considering like the positional needs, possibly adding another pick. But if we had to take a selection here, I really can't argue with McCaffrey. I mean, I would think about Davis and Mike Williams as well. But, I mean, McCaffrey's a beautiful fit in the system. Supposedly the Eagles are absolutely in love with the guy too, from what I've read. And, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I'm fine with the pick. And if I can't trade back, I would probably take McCaffrey as well.
Skolsky, what would you do?
I agree with everyone here. This would be a good trade back spot because there's so many people we could take. I'm kind of torn between taking edge rusher, someone like Barnett or Charles Harris, but I think I'm going to go with my gut and take who I think is the best receiver in the draft, and that's Corey Davis. We have Alshon Jeffrey only on a 1-year deal, which we're hoping to re-sign, and then we have Torrey Smith, who's on essentially 3 separate 1-year deals. So I think if you have Corey Davis and Alshon Jeffrey, that's a hell of a receiving core to give Carson Wentz for the future. So that would be my pick.
Yeah. I actually like Dalvin Cook over Christian McCaffrey. That would be my guy here. I think he would be a good fit because he can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. He's a little bit more. He's better between the tackles, and if the Eagles kind of want to get back to what Doug Peterson wants to do, that power football, pulling the guards, doing all that, playing power football, I think he's a better fit than McCaffrey. Although McCaffrey did show some signs of, he's in that pro system there at Stanford. So, but they ran a lot of outside zone. He's a guy that really sets up his blocks well. Corey Davis, another option. Derek Barnett, I think, would be a great fit here too at number 14. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey, it does seem like that might be the guy come Thursday night. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like he's just like in the 20s as a talent, but
I
That's
think
just
it's
me.
a little bit of a reach, but I mean, if that's who they like, I mean, I can totally see him taking him at 14. I could actually see him being gone before 14, but
I can see that too.
I think the late 20s type draft pick, like, you know, and if the Eagles really do like him and think they can trade back a couple slots and pick up another pick, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to Baltimore now. That number 15.
Indianapolis first.
Oh, my bad. I skipped a team. Yeah, Indianapolis. That's me. All right, so I got the Colts. All right, what do they need? This might be where you go cornerback. They could use a cornerback. They could use an edge rusher. Edge rusher. I'm going to go edge rusher here. I'm going to go Charles Harris. I think Charles Harris would be a good fit for the Colts. Yeah, that's where I'm going. Charles Harris. So number 16 is Baltimore.
Prospect Charles Harris.
I like Charles Harris. I could see that being someone the Eagles take as well. I mean, he wasn't he didn't have the best scheme. His best scheme fit last year, but when they ran the scheme that fit him in 2015, you saw his explosiveness. And you saw his ability to get to the quarterback. So I think that's a good pick for the Colts.
I think it's a great pick, Adrian. I mean, the Colts for years have been struggling to get after the quarterback. I mean, they had dudes who were in their upper 30s being their leaders in sacks, and that's just a big, big issue. I mean, it took Bjorn Warner 4 years ago now, and I don't even know if he's in the league. And he was a first-round edge pick
out for them.
I mean, Charles Harris is a great scheme fit for a 3-4 stand-up backer. I think Barnett's probably a little better if you're a 4-3 team. So if I was the Eagles, Barnett would be a better fit than Harris. But for the Colts, Harris is the better value here. I'm with Skolsky, and I agree with you, Adrian. Great pick here for the Colts. Get some pressure on the QB.
Now, I know Brendan's going to be listening intently for number 16. You're a Ravens fan, so Skolsky, don't fuck it up for him.
There's two obvious picks here, Skolsky, and if you don't pick either one of them, I'm just going to jump off.
I know. But I kind of hinted towards it when I said who I wanted the Eagles to take. It's the person who I personally see as the best wide receiver in the draft. That'd be Corey Davis. They'd probably let Brendan take it away, but he has the highest ceiling in my opinion. He can run great routes. He has very good speed, and he can make the crazy acrobatic catches. He would be an instant upgrade. He'd be an instant starter for the Ravens. Give Joe Flacco a go-to guy who can develop into a true number one wide receiver.
Brendan, you want to talk about the pick?
No doubt. I mean, Skolsky, you nailed it, brother. 100% nailed it. When I was doing this with Adrian on one of our receiver shows, if you guys haven't watched it, definitely a good watch. Corey Davis, I like him a little more because he's the route runner. He can separate with that. Mike Williams, so many of his catches are contested, jump ball, go up and get it. And that's all well and good, but that's a concern for me. I mean, there's so many guys in the NFL. Dorial Green-Beckham is a great example. All of his highlights at Mizzou were jump ball situations. That's what a lot of times Mike Williams is. So that's a little bit of a concern for me. Now, the trade-off here, we don't really know definitively what is Corey Davis going to test at because with his ankle, he didn't do anything in the pro day, didn't do anything at the combine. But route running ability, hands are a little inconsistent, and that's a big issue for me because the Ravens just drafted Bashawn Perryman, and the guy has 0 hands. So it'd be a concern to have 2 receivers out there for the Ravens who can't catch the ball. But I do agree Corey Davis would be a great fit here for the Ravens. This would be a dream scenario for the Ravens, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think they could go wrong with either one of those guys.
No doubt.
We got our first back-to-back of the draft, and it's our only one. So James has the next 2 picks. You got the Redskins and the Titans.
Okay. So for the Redskins here, I think this is just a value pick. I've got to have to pull the trigger on Solomon Thomas out of Stanford. I just think that,
How did we not draft him?
Yeah, I mean,
they're saying he might fall.
We got to redo it.
I mean, also the middle of the first round. I mean, as Washington's got to be licking their chops. I mean, he's got a lot of talent. I mean, you can plug him in. He can play, I think, in either a 3-4 or 4-3, depending on the system. But I think with Washington, plug him in there. I think that it's just too much talent to pass up. I mean, if he falls, even if he's on the board with the Eagles, like we don't really need a D lineman, but I mean the guy is a beast.
As an Eagles fan, I absolutely hate this pick because that would be fantastic for them.
Yeah, no, I would hate it as well because Washington just got freaking Pryor, who I wanted in free agency too. So, And then for the Titans, I'm going to have to go with Mike Williams here. Titans need a receiver. They really need to get Mariota a target. And basically Delaney Walker dominated, most of the targets there. I know he's aging, and the tight end out of Miami could also be a look here, but I'm going Mike Williams for the Titans just because, Mariota can throw it up to him, give him 50-50 balls, and it's just a nice target for a young quarterback to have kind of as a security blanket with him and Walker.
These are two back-to-back dream scenarios that I have a hard time thinking either one of them are going to come true.
I don't think so either, yeah.
First of all, shame on the four of us for letting Solomon Thomas. Okay. Can we all agree that we really royally shit the bed with letting Solomon Thomas slide this far?
I honestly
a little bit. But I keep hearing the rumors that he might fall because teams aren't sure whether he's a D tackle, whether he's a DN,
he's kind of a tweener.
Yeah. So he's not a scheme fit for everybody.
No, he's a 4-3 tackle.
4-3. What is he, like 280?
Something like that. Yeah, he's a 4-3 D tackle. A team Carolina could. I think Carolina could have taken him in our little scenario. I'm looking here at our side here.
I probably should have done that.
I guess Washington runs a 3-4, but I think they'd still slide him in probably at his end.
Yeah, 3-4 DN. I think he can play that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Well, shame
all right,
on
you got 19, Brendan. Shame on us.
Shame on us. Yeah. All right. So I'm sitting here and I'm the Bucks. Okay. Corner would have been a great need for me. Safety would have been a great need for me. Obviously, not really going to get my top choices here. McCaffrey would have been an awesome fit, to give James more weapons here, but he's obviously gone now. So now I'm thinking, do I go Dalvin Cook? Do I try to get one of the corners? Or do I try to go a defensive specialist? If I'm here and I'm the Bucks, I'm gonna try to match what my division's doing. We know the Saints, we know the Falcons, we know the Panthers. They all want to score points, and they all do it very uniquely. So I'm gonna get the guy who can probably do the most in this draft besides Hassan Reddick, and I'm gonna go Jaleel Peppers here. I think this would be a good fit for the Bucks. Get someone who can kind of affect the game in multiple ways. I think Jaleel Peppers would be a great fit playing alongside Levante David.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got the Broncos at number 20, and it's obvious that they need offensive line help in the worst way. Cam Robinson is on the board still, so this is pretty simple for me. I'm taking him at number 20 for Denver. I also love Lamp, though. I love Lamp. But, I'm not going to go Lamp here. I'm going Cam Robinson. So, 21, we're back to Brendan for the Lions.
All right, so I'm sitting here on Detroit, okay? So, the Lions, they're a team who they need defensive help. Ziggy Ansah is going to be a free agent at the end of this year. I think they'll ultimately re-sign him. I'm not saying they're going to let him go, but that kind of shows you that's a lack of depth there. They got a steal last year and they got Reed, I think that's right, from Alabama last year in a late round. They've added a lot of stuff on the offensive line.
Reed, I think it's on Seattle.
Then it's the Robinson. Anyway, whoever the other D tackle was, they got him last year in the draft. I'm gonna go Barnett here. I'm gonna try to get more pressure, try to get more things after Aaron Rodgers in our division. So I think Barnett's a good fit here.
It's great value too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we got. So we're fucking up here, man. Barnett's going 21. We got Thomas 17. Jeez, we're terrible GMs. We're awful.
Well, if they do fall, you could see teams trading up for him, and then that would be great for the Eagles at 14. Maybe trade back.
Yeah, if Solomon Thomas is on the board at 13, somebody's going to trade up and get him.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right, 22. We're back to James for the Dolphins.
Okay, looking here, I see the Dolphins, I think, have a need at that cornerback position. I still think it would be – I'm not in love with the corners after we get by Conley. I think, obviously, they're all, late first, early to mid-second round grades. They also could use some help, I think, at guard and interior, and obviously Lamp sitting here. But – I'm a little torn on this, so give me a minute. I also think for the Dolphins, you could have McKinley in play here. I'm just gonna have to go with my gut though, and I'm gonna, I played O-line for 12 years, so I'm gonna take Forrest Lamp for the Dolphins and kind of stir up that interior offensive line, give Tannehill more protection. It'll help obviously with the running game, which Jay Ajayi looked like he could be a solid player there last year. So I think this helps them. And the Dolphins are looking like they're not really a one-year wonder. I know me and Adrian last year kept saying they were going to come back down to earth. But if you look at this roster, I mean, they don't have too many glaring holes. So I think Lamp makes a lot of sense here.
Okay.
Yeah, James, I would agree with you. I mean, especially think about Laramie Tunsil was their first-round draft pick, and he was drafted by left tackle, and he spent most of the year playing guard.
Yeah.
They can get Forrest Lamp here. I mean, they have two studs now in the offensive line that are in youth. Helps Tannehill out, helps Jay Ajayi. I'm 100% with you, James. Great pick here.
All right, we got the Giants at 23. Skolsky has them. Pick somebody terrible.
Well, let's keep with the theme. I want to go Garrett Bowles, offensive tackle, Utah.
That's the pick.
I mean, they have all the wide receiver weapons, obviously, with Odell Beckham Jr. and now Brandon Marshall. You have Eli getting up there in age, and although he stayed healthy, as you get older, the injuries start to creep up on you. So you want to make sure you're protecting him, and that'll give the chances for all those new guys to get open. I also strongly consider tight end here. But at the end of the day, I think tackle is the safest way to go.
Yeah, that seems like the obvious pick for them at 23. Now we go to 24. We're back to Brendan, picking for the Raiders.
So I'm glad I get to pick for my hometown team, Las Vegas Raiders here. So that really excites me. With the Raiders here, the dream scenario is, you try to get one of the backs. Like if McCaffrey was here, that would have been great. So now it becomes interesting. Cook's still on the board in our scenario here. But to me, I think the Raiders' biggest help is they need a defensive back. I'm going to go Kevin King here. I think Kevin King would be a great fit, big, lanky receiver. Let him actually be able to play against Demaryius Thomas and some of those other guys in the league. Kevin King's my pick for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay. All right. So we might see a run of cornerbacks here in the 20s. I think that's very possible that could happen. The Texans, I got the Texans at 25. Interesting spot here because obviously they need a quarterback. Now, do you go Deshaun Kaiser? Do you go Patrick Mahomes? Or do you maybe wait for the second round? Maybe you can try and trade up to get a quarterback. I don't know. I don't know what they would do. For me, I think they would take Mahomes over Kaiser because of you look at what they've – Brock Osweiler, big arm. Tom Savage, big arm. They love the big arm quarterbacks. So the quarterback for me would be Mahomes. But I would try and wait for the second round and try and trade up if that's the route you want to go. So for me, I'm going Marlon Humphrey. If I'm the Texans, you just lost A.J. Boye. And I would go cornerback. I know they might take quarterback here in the first round, but I wouldn't at 25. I'm taking corner. So Marlon Humphrey's my pick. That's where I'm going to go. Seattle. Who's got Seattle?
I do.
All right.
So this kind of, I just saw a bunch of players come off the board for that I liked for Seattle. Basically, the two tackles, the guard, and honestly, I think they could use another corner. But, Seattle's biggest need is up front. I think in this case, I would really look to trade back here if I was Seattle because, they need pretty much everything. On the offensive line, it was pretty bad last year. And besides that, this is a perennial Super Bowl contender. Obviously the tackle from Wisconsin, how Ramczyk, is that how you say his last name?
Check.
Yeah, Ramczyk. He's in play here. I think you just took Humphrey off the board, right, Adrian? Mm-hmm. Was that who you took?
Yeah, Humphrey.
That's who you took.
So I'm looking at some corners here. I think Seattle's in a tough position if this is the way the draft falls. I'm just gonna have to go with. I guess I'm just gonna take that other corner because I think it's too early to go with Ramczyk. I'm just gonna go with give me Tre'Davious White for Seattle. I think he's the best remaining corner on the board. And if they don't, I don't think they're gonna trade Sherman, and I think that helps them. That gets them a solid cornerback number 2. It really sucks. So I would have liked to go offensive line, but I don't want to reach on Ramczyk.
Yeah, who was that you picked again?
Tre'Davious White.
Okay, there you go. All right, because I'm sitting here at 27. I got the Chiefs, and I got no idea where I'm going to go. So I'm going to use all of my allotted time here. You need a guard, but you're not going to go guard in the first round. Although it seems like Andy Reid does those type of things. Oh, Danny Watkins. So that's what he does. They could use a receiver, but our three guys are gone, so I wouldn't go that route. They could potentially try and go quarterback here.
They could.
They could. I don't know if they will. Cornerback, you got as your other starter opposite of Marcus Peters. So maybe you go cornerback here. Let's see. We're quarterbacks and cornerback. I'll probably go cornerback then. So we're going to see a big thing with cornerback. So we went Tre'Davious White. We got King. This would be the fourth cornerback in a row. Wow. All right. I'm taking Adoree Jackson here at number 27. Play opposite of Peters, ball hawk. I think yeah, that's where I'm going. 28, we got, oh man, who's picking for the Cowboys? Yeah. Go ahead.
Give me 1 second. So I was just.
Let me kind of give you opinion feedback here while we're kind of looking at this. If I was Seattle, I would have taken Ramczyk. And the reason I'm thinking I'm taking Ramczyk, James, is because I can't tell you a tackle after Ramczyk. I mean, Dion Dawkins is probably going to end up being a guard. So I don't know what Seattle will end up doing at tackle. So
yeah.
You're probably right. I think his talent's probably closer to the early second. I would have taken him here, and then I would have ended up taking a later corner because I can tell you more depth at corner in this draft than I can at tackle. Adoree Jackson, it makes sense there, but if I'm Kansas City, I probably would have taken Cook. I would have immediately tried to get a little more stability at running back.
Dude, yeah, we never took Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin
That's the pick.
would have been there.
Dalvin Cook's the pick. I'm changing my pick. I'm running back up to the podium.
I don't know if that you can do that.
I didn't realize, dude.
Ramczyk, I thought about Ramczyk too. It's just, and that makes a lot of sense the way you put it, Brendan. Is that actually after Ramczyk, there's really nothing, and there are a lot of cornerback depth. What I really would do if I was Seattle is trade back there. But obviously, again, we can't do that. So that's good analysis by you. I mean, that does make sense. And it may be in reality, like if they do end up there, they will reach on Ramczyk a little bit just because it's such a glaring need.
It is, and there's such a problem with this offensive line group. I mean, Ramczyk's only played 1 year of FBS football, but the flip side is so has Garrett Bowles. And those are the two best tackles we have in this draft. I mean, that's a massive, massive issue. I know Forrest Lamp played left tackle, but he's ended up going to be a guard. And he's going to be a good guard. But, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is a bit of an issue for the tackles. If the Seahawks would have drafted either one of them, I understand why. But talent-wise, I agree with you, James. This probably would have been a trade-back situation for the Hawks.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Skolsky.
Are we giving it? Are we saying Dalvin Cook, or are we saying his original pick?
Well, to me, Skolsky hadn't drafted yet, so technically Dalvin Cook was still a free agent.
All right.
Anyway.
All right, I'm going to go Chidobe Awuzie. He's someone that's been climbing a lot of draft boards recently. They just lost Mo Claiborne, who was injured most of last year anyway. But their cornerback situation is one of their few weaknesses. I hate to say it. They don't have many weaknesses, but having a sticky man cover corner would be a great addition for them, especially when you have people like Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall joining the division. They're going to need to improve that secondary. So I'm going with Awuzie.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. What's interesting too is he was invited to the NFL draft for Thursday night. So there's obviously something there. You know, there's obviously a reason he was invited there. He didn't invite just to show up and watch everyone else get drafted on Thursday. So you're right, Skolsky. I mean, there certainly is a need there. I think obviously the other big need for the Cowboys is some pressure people, but I don't know. I mean, at this point, I don't really feel definitively confident in any of the corners or the defensive linemen at this point. So I agree with you, Skolsky.
All right, number 29. We are on to the Packers and Brendan.
Well, if I'm the Packers here, first off, and the three running backs are gone, then it becomes, okay, who can play defensive back and cover someone? Because honestly, most kids who are playing 7-on-7 football are probably better opportunities for the Green Bay Packers playing corner. They have such a huge issue here. Now, the other kind of things you could think about, if you're not thinking corner, think about an edge guy, maybe a Takk McKinley or Watt here could be fits for you. Or if we talk about this all the time when we think about troubled players, we always say what, guys? They got to go to a team who, embraces it, has a good culture and everything. I mean, Joe Mixon would make sense here, honestly. I mean, for what the Packers want to do in their system. I think ultimately, though, for the Packers, they're going to have to go a corner. I actually like Quincy Wilson. I think he's my third favorite corner. So in this situation, Quincy Wilson going to the Packers would be a steal for them.
Okay. All right. We so far have how many corners is that?
Let's see here. We got Quincy Wilson. Skolsky took one. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 7 corners.
That
just goes to what Eagles VP Joe Douglas said. Just because the draft's deep in position doesn't mean that there'll necessarily still be talent there when you go for the next round.
And that's something we talked about on our last show with the cornerbacks. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where Skolsky, you're 100% right. It's deep in the position because there's talent there, not because it's all of a sudden they're going to be here in the 3rd round. I mean, I told Adrian this. We could easily see 35 defensive backs go in the first 3 rounds in this upcoming draft Thursday.
Yeah. So the trading back scenario might actually be a great option.
The problem is, I think a lot of teams are going to be looking to trade back this year, so it might be tough.
Very true.
Yeah. So it's really going to be interesting to see what they do on Thursday night. Really, seriously, can't wait. Skolsky, we're back to you for Pittsburgh. Who you got for the Steelers?
I mean, this is an interesting situation. I mean, if one of the QBs falls, I could see them even taking a QB to back up Big Ben. The tight ends, obviously, definitely intriguing. But when I look back at their defense, the person who led their team in sacks last year was James Harrison, and he's 38 years old. And then I see someone like Taco Charlton still on the board. That's someone I think could step in and set the edge for them right away and get to the quarterback, because that's what Steelers football is about. It's about tough defense, and I think Taco could step in and be a great fit for them.
Boom. There you go. Charlton, number 30. I got Atlanta at number 31. I'm going defensive tackle here. I'm going Malik McDowell from Michigan State. I think that would be a good fit here. Yeah, it's simple as that. So, NFC champs, they go defense. We got at number 32. We got the Saints.
I agree. Adrian, I agree with you. Skolsky, I agree with you. Both of those 2 picks, guys, make a ton of sense there. Especially, for what the Steelers are doing. Like you said, Skolsky, hey, we got to get an edge rusher if you're Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
If you're the Falcons, you're pretty much at this point thinking, okay, how can the rich get richer? And Malik McDowell, his biggest peg on him was, he's not really good at coaching. Well, your head coach was a former DC. You got a lot of youth in the defensive line. You got a guy like Dontari Poe as the other defensive tackle.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's crazy good.
Awesome pick there. You can get pressure with 4 there in Atlanta and play coverage the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, man. Now we get to a unique one with New Orleans, okay? Because I think for them, corner would have been the pick here, but I don't know who's left. I don't know who we have as a first-round talent here for corner. Now, like James was talking about earlier, defense, they just got a lot of issues. I mean, they just got a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm thinking here, do we go best player available, which is something I know, Skolsky, you talk about all the time. Hey, just pick best player available and go from there. If that's the case, then it could be Joe Mixon. I mean, that would be a sweet pickup for the Saints here. Now I'm going to go down to the safeties, though, and see which one do you like best. That really becomes a conversation.
We got Budda Baker. We got your boy Josh Jones.
Yeah.
Marcus Williams, Utah. Marcus May.
Marcus May's there, yeah.
Let's see. What quarterbacks do we even have left? We got Teez Tabor still on the board. Nobody's
He'll help you with his name, but Obi Melifonwu.
That's what I was thinking about, Skolsky.
UConn.
Yeah, I mean he's someone that kind of reminds me. What's the
Byron
guy
Jones?
that Dallas just took?
Byron Jones.
Byron Jones. Yeah, he's Byron Jones. He's one of those athletic freaks that he sky's the limit for him.
I feel like Adoree Jackson's in play here too for the Saints.
Dory hasn't been taken yet. Yeah.
I forgot he was untaken. So
He's taken. I played the fuck out of him.
Yeah,
Can you imagine like,
Dory-
walking up to the podium?
Gave
Yeah. Oh, we didn't actually. We switched. We're taking somebody else now.
gave him the moonlight.
That's exactly right. I mean, here's the thing for the Saints, they got a lot of money invested in safeties right now between Kenny Vaccaro and Jarius Byrd. There's a lot of money invested there, so it's hard for me to think that they're going to draft another safety in the first round. So, with all that said, I guess you go with Adoree Jackson here, but I also could see Joe Mixon, his name being picked. But I'll go with Adoree Jackson just because it's a big, big need for the Saints, as James talked about too.
Bird did get released. Not sure if you know that.
Did not know that, but I'm still going to stay with Adoree Jackson.
Okay. Yeah. So that means we go 8 corners in the first round.
Yeah.
So for the Eagles, if this plays itself out for the second round, you're looking at you still got Sidney Jones on the board. You got Tease Tabor. We still got Desmond King. We got Cordrea Tankersley. We got Rasul Douglas. So there's still some options. Jordan Lewis, but it kind of makes you think a little bit now. All right, so maybe you do want to take cornerback in the first round.
I
Yeah,
think where trading back would have been ideal.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
8 corners. Holy shit.
I feel like if we can get Tabor in the second round, I mean, I know his 40 time's so concerning, but his tape is just it's great. I mean, the guy was like the top 2 or 3 corner before he ran the 40. And I mean, you got to take that into account. It scares me away from taking him in the first, but I mean, they don't run 40s with pads on, and the way he played, I mean, I would love him in the second round for the Eagles. Also, not opposed to taking Sidney Jones, because I know me and Adrian both loved him for the Eagles at 14 before you went.
He's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're not ready to win right now. We're going to win, 7, 8 games next year? We're not ready.
8, 9, and 7 after the schedule release.
If we're trusting what Howie Roseman and Joe Douglas were saying, is we're going to take BPA no matter what we're thinking down the road. We're not just thinking this season. Then Sidney Jones would be an excellent pick because he could turn around and be the best corner in this draft easily.
Yeah. So if you
saying he might be healthy by October now or something. I mean, obviously he's probably saying that to get drafted higher, but I mean, if he's healing quick and can maybe even suit up by the end of the year and get a little action, that'd be great for him.
Brennan, what are your thoughts? What the Eagles should do second round if it plays itself out this way? Where would you go at corner? Because I think they go corner second round.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to leave the draft board up here, guys, so everyone can kind of keep a gander at it. But in my opinion, guys, if this happens, there is zero doubt. Not only do the Eagles have to draft a corner, they might have to trade up to draft a corner too. I mean, just think about that. We had 8 corners go in the first round. Now, I don't know if we'll have all these corners go in the first round, but if that happens, I would say, hey, the Birds probably got to trade up and get one. Now, James talked about Tease Tabor, and we talk about ball production, and we talk about being a turnover magnet, and the dude has that in spades. The problem with Tease Tabor is typically, guys, the guys who are long-armed and run quick and have good shuttle times are the guys who really do well in the NFL. Tease Tabor does not check those boxes, which is a big concern. Tease Tabor, I talked about this with Adrian, his best fit is in a cover 2, where he's only asked to play in the quick game and be asked to be physical right off the box. So to me, and this is an unbelievable statement I'm making this, if this happened for the Eagles have to trade up to get a guy who's potentially not going to play all year in Sidney Jones.
Yeah. We still got guys like
about you. I feel like I just got educated.
we still got guys like Tankersley, Kevin King, Witherspoon, Wardell.
Actually, King went to the Raiders.
I would like Kevin King for us. He's long, athletic, and he's got speed. And he was Sidney Jones' teammate, right? They both played at Washington.
Yeah, this would honestly be a terrible situation for the Eagles going into the
We'd be panicking going into Friday for sure, thinking, "Well, how the hell are we going to get a corner?" And yeah, I think Jones is definitely the number one guy here. And just like Bert said, I mean, if you have to trade up, do it, because I mean we're not going to really win the division this year. I mean, we might sneak in for a wild card, which if we do, great. But I mean, I saw something like the Eagles had like the 13th or 12th best defense in terms of points allowed with no corners last year. So even if we do take Jones, I mean, obviously we draft another one, but I mean, they could still be competitive. It just would be tough to watch as fans with all those deep passes on us again.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Sidney Jones second round. Like that's the guy. That's where I'm going. I know you really like Desmond King too, Brendan, but you see him maybe as a safety, or do you think?
Love Desmond King. I mean, guys, honestly, I think Desmond King, when we go back, he could be the best guy here, but I think he's ended up going to being a safety. The reason I say that, guys, is because his biggest concern is how does he carry receivers down the field. Doesn't have great speed, opens up pretty darn well, but struggles with carrying vertical routes, so I'd rather put him at the free safety position. But I talked about this on one of our other shows we did with Adrian. Desmond King, unlike most of these guys we have in this draft, he had 14 interceptions in college, which is elite level of turnovers. Now, he probably should have came out last year. He stayed another year. Adrian, he played what? I think I said 94% of the defensive snaps at Iowa. He was on the field for them. And then we talk about, on the special team side, he was on the field 46% of the time. So he's an Iron Man. I really, really like this guy. He's probably going to be a round 3 guy, but heck, if this type of situation happens, he could be a round 2 guy.
Yeah.
I think the silver lining, though, for the Birds is in our simulation we couldn't do trades, but I think towards the end of the first round you're going to see those teams that didn't go quarterback in the first round maybe try to trade back into the end of the first to get someone maybe like Kaiser or Mahomes. So I'm hoping that's the case. And we still have pretty good guys like Gerard Davis and such that are still on the board.
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't be as dire of a quarterback situation as it ended up being for us.
And here's, I think, the conversation that's probably going to need to have, at least if I'm in the Eagles room, I would have this. I would turn to our defensive line staff and our defensive coordinators, and I would say, hey, can you guys get us 30 to 40 sacks just pressuring 4 or 5? If they can definitively say, yes, we can get you 35 to 40 sacks, then I don't think there's as much of a need for a corner in the first round. And the reason I say that is because if you're getting that 35 sacks range as a defense, that's what the Panthers did when they went to the Super Bowl. And with all due respect, Josh Norman was a good corner, but I mean, he's not exactly, the reason their defense was good is because they were getting all those sacks. So if the Eagles can say that, then I think McCaffrey makes a ton of sense, or a receiver makes a ton of sense. But if they say, you know what, we're not confident in that, then I think you can go corner in the first round. But this is
I think that's a lot of why people have been mocking people like Barnett and Harris to the Eagles, because Jim Schwartz's defensive scheme, he's not going to blitz a lot. He puts a lot of emphasis on defensive line generating pressure to the quarterback. So we signed Chris Long, which I thought was an excellent signing, but he's getting up there in age. So he's a question mark. So if you get someone like Harris that maybe he's not ready to be a 4-down defensive end, and you could rotate him in with Chris Long, I think that's why you're starting to see him mocked to us as it gets closer to the draft.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, they got to decide if they believe in Vinny Curry with this situation too. And I mean, I don't at all. I think we overpaid him, and I mean, I don't think edge rusher's out of the equation at all for us, because that's what Schwartz wants to do. He wants to get pressure with 4 guys. And honestly, I don't see 35 to 40 sacks out of our D-line right now. I don't know about you guys. I also think with the way our mock played out with Arizona, I think Arizona might go receiver, where Adrian had him taking Conley. And I think it is realistic that it kind of comes down to Conley or McCaffrey for the Eagles at 14 or a trade back. But I think if Conley's there, I think he's got to be the pick. I'm with Bird on that one. I love Garyon Conley as a prospect.
Yeah. Now, to Brendan's point, the thing that teams were doing last year to combat the pressure, because we were pressuring teams early on, and then what happened was teams were taking a lot of 3-step drops, getting the ball out really, really quickly, and we just couldn't cover. Simple as that. So I think Washington started doing that. That was the game where shit turned around against us.
Green Bay,
it's
all night
downhill. Yeah, just quick 3-step drops, quick hitches, shit like that, and we just got eaten alive. And so yeah, that's what it is. And you can start pressuring the quarterback a little bit more. Yeah, the cornerbacks, you don't really need to cover as long if you get great pressure. So I'm in completely agreement with Brendan there.
Yeah, in
So,
this
great
situation,
point.
you're really, really hoping that Jalen Mills can take that next step. He played well for a seventh rounder.
Yeah.
But right now, in this situation, you're asking him to be the number one corner, and that's asking a lot.
Yeah, especially, I mean, he's not
happen,
the fastest guy either, you know. I don't think he has the speed to be a 1.
Yeah, I agree. I think someone I do like, who people seem to be on the edge about, I do like Marlon Humphrey a lot, and I think he could make a lot of sense.
I like Humphrey.
He is my number 2 guy. Brendan doesn't like Humphrey though.
Hate him.
I think he needs to do. He has some work. He has some technique issues, but I think when you have a secondary coach like we do with Underland, I think he could help with a lot of those issues because athletically he's a star. He's very physical. He's very competitive. He's always trying to get his nose into the play, and that's something that Jim Schwartz seemed to like. That's why Eric Rowe was the odd man out and Jalen Mills was in, because Jalen Mills was a type of personality that wants that number 1 wide receiver all the time.
Yeah.
Brendan, talk about why you don't like Humphrey.
Oh, I really don't like Humphrey here, fellas. And the reason I don't like him is he struggles with carrying receivers vertical, and he also struggles with finding the ball. And the thing is like finding the ball is one of those things that you can't teach necessarily. That's just one of those things. You talk about ball skills and being a ball hawk, and he's really not that. I mean, he's teased Tabor in the fact that he's good with the quick 3-step and how quick he is out of his pedal coming downhill, and he's a thumper, but he doesn't have the ball production. So I really don't like him. If I'm the Eagles, now he's way too high of a pick for 14. Yeah. But guys like Tre'Davious White would make a ton of sense because similar to Jalen Mills, how he wants to be more of an island and play off man would make a ton of sense. Conley's the best fit. No, there's zero doubt in my mind. But Tre'Davious White would make a lot of sense here. If he goes end of the first, then you're kind of shit out of luck. But he could be another guy that if he's in the second, you probably got to trade up and go get him.
Yeah, and Skolsky brought up the point of Umland being the D-backs coach and being an excellent D-backs coach. If there's a guy that needs a great D-backs coach, it's Adoree Jackson of USC. You pop his tape on, it's shit. John Ross lit him alive. He wasn't, whatever. But you look at what his ceiling can be and what he can bring and the ball skills that he possesses, the athleticism, what he can do. I think he has a really, really high ceiling. I compared him to, a little bit like DRC a little bit in his athleticism. I think Adoree Jackson with the right coaches, I think he can be really, really good.
He's the one I'm hoping to maybe around in the second round. I'm not sure about that.
I would love him in the second round
as well. I'm right there with you guys. It's tough with going back to Humphrey. It is tough with the Alabama corners thing too. I mean, obviously we've heard this in years past, but it's just they're so good defensively. It's almost tough to evaluate them because I like to see corners that perform better on maybe a little like worse of talent with their defense because Alabama has NFL guys all over the field, and if your defense is that good, it's almost easy to be a corner. I mean, in my opinion, like he obviously. I think has pretty good tape, but like Bird said, he struggles with, following receivers vertically, but it's just tough, I think, to just evaluate Alabama defensive players besides like interior linemen and linebackers. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, there's a lot of teams, even you look at the cornerbacks. I mean, you look at Florida, you got Quincy Wilson, Tease Tabor. You look at Washington, you got Kevin King and Sidney Jones. You look at Ohio State. You got Conley and Lattimore. So you got a lot of these duos.
Yeah.
Even Colorado, Chidobe Awuzie, you got Weatherspoon on the other.
Yeah.
So it's all over the place.
Yeah. No, James, I agree with you 1,000,000%, man. I mean, there's definitely a reason that, if we think about Alabama defensive backs, I mean, how many can we really name that are studs in the NFL right now? I mean, we can tell you one in Collins, and that's really it.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right. Because they do such a great job fighting with pressure and making the QBs throw quick, you don't see necessarily a lot of the vertical game. I mean, that's a lot of the same concerns we had about Josh Norman when he became available with the Panthers because we kept saying the same things. Oh, well, how good is he really because he's getting all his pressure? That's what we can say about every defensive back out of Bama. Now, I'm not saying that Humphreys can't be good, but I like all these other guys a lot more. I mean, Adoree Jackson, let's hop back to him for a second here. One of the things I talked about on our defensive back show, I call him a casino corner And what I mean by that is he's a gambler. He runs a ton of trail technique, and that's, playing about a step to 2 steps behind the receiver, waiting for the receiver to sink his hips so he can undercut everything. And you can do that as long as you're not in a system where you're asked to have a single high receiver. So if you're playing like the Eagles do and you're playing 2 receivers high, then Adoree Jackson would make an awesome fit, because if he gambles and he gets screwed, you still get Malcolm Jenkins there to make the play. But if you're playing a single high system, similar like what a lot of times the Seahawks want to do, or the Falcons, he'd be a terrible fit.
Sounds kind of like a Asante Samuel type guy.
Yeah, that's a very similar kind of one. I talked about DRC. That's a very good analogy. The problem that I had with Adoree is his arms came in a little short. They came in at 31, and I think DRC's is probably closer to 34. So it's a small thing, but dude, in the NFL, every inch counts.
You think Jackson might be better inside?
I do. I think that's probably going to be his better skill set. Now, his problem is, talk about a guy like Quincy Wilson, who I think he might be better inside. Quincy Wilson's a thumper and wants to get dirty. Adoree Jackson doesn't want to tackle. So you go inside, I'm going to run outside zone right at him all freaking game and make him want to tackle, and that's not what he wants to do.
And that would be the only concern I have about Conley. Cover skills-wise, he might be the best cover corner in the entire draft, but his willingness to tackle was something that definitely would need work. That's why
he doesn't
get him at 14.
Yeah. He doesn't tackle well, and you look at the NFL level, that's going to lead to long gains. I mean, you can't tackle after 10-yard stop route, it turns into a 40-yard gain.
Yeah. And how tired are we of seeing our DBs miss tackles? Like, I mean, I'm all on board if Conley's there, but like, it's just been frustrating. We've had a lot of
people might hate Conley because of that, because we haven't been able to tackle, and we're going to get another guy that can't tackle, and we're going to get pissed off. Better birds, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's right.
So, all right. What else? We got anything else on the agenda, or are we pretty much ready to go? We're over an hour in, so it's about that time.
Let's do this, fellas. I think this would be an interesting kind of exercise. Let's go through our draft here, and let's all pick one team who we think is the biggest winner in this scenario and the biggest loser in this scenario. I'll tell you this. I'll start off. I think the Eagles would be the biggest loser in this scenario because of all the corners run. I think that would make them the biggest loser, not necessarily because McCaffrey would be a stud there, but I think what they would have to do the next day on Friday, like James said, would be a big oh shit kind of moment. I think the biggest winner, boy, it's tough. I think the Dolphins getting Forrest Lamp is a great situation at 22.
Washington.
But it's got to be Washington. I agree.
Solomon Thomas.
Yeah, that's crazy talent there.
James, who's your biggest winner and biggest loser here?
I would say I think my biggest winner, honestly, I know we just named Washington, but I mean, Solomon Thomas there is unbelievable value. But I mean, to go with another team that's I think would be a good winner out of this is let me see the board. Sorry, I went away for a second. I like the Tennessee's here a lot. I mean, for some reason the board's not up on the thing, but
well, that's because Brendan's not talking. Brendan needs to talk.
Well, I like Tennessee's 2 picks that they got. I definitely like that. I think the biggest loser is not to kind of shit on the pick, but Buffalo taking Watson at 10, or I guess is it 10? Yeah, that I would hate that pick if I was a Buffalo fan. Not that I hate Watson, I just think that like there's a lot better value there, and I almost think you could wait on Watson. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, to recap, Tennessee is my biggest winner, and Buffalo would be my loser here.
I like Tennessee as well. I mean, they got Mike Williams with their second first-round pick, and that's someone that's probably even in play with their first pick. So to get him that late, it would be a great situation for them. My winner, I might say I might have to go to Cleveland. They get Trubisky without having.
That's what's going to be mine.
So yeah, they get Garrett and someone that there's speculation that Cleveland might trade back up into the top 10 to get their guy to stay pat and get him. I think that would be amazing for them. My loser, I probably have to agree with the Eagles, but since I'll try to pick someone different. I'm not as big on Peppers as everyone else, so I guess if I was Tampa Bay, maybe I'll take Dalvin Cook, match him back up with Winston, get that Florida State magic going in Tampa. But I mean, that's just nitpicking.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bills for me, I think because they got the new coach and you got Sean McDermott, I think they're just. I just got a feeling they're going to go quarterback. I agree, though. There's better value out there.
I like Tyrod Taylor as a quarterback, though. I think he. I agree with Brennan. I think he's. He doesn't get all the.
I think he's better. I think he's okay. I mean,
he's not like.
Is he top 20? Yeah, he is what he is. If they can build a defense, obviously with Sean McDermott there, maybe Tyrod Taylor isn't so bad, but. I mean, I don't know. Like, if it was me, I wouldn't take a quarterback in the first round. I don't think any of these guys are winning.
Yeah, I don't either.
So is there any just we blandly missed in the first round? Now I'm looking at it.
Oh, shit.
Well, we missed out. Like Derek Barnett's not going 21. Solomon Thomas not going 17. And even Dalvin Cook, I don't think Dalvin Cook's going to last 27 either.
I can see him if they're worried about his off the field concerns and injury and shoulder issue.
Yeah, he fumbles a lot too, doesn't he? He has some fumbling issues.
I'm not saying it's likely, but I wouldn't be shocked if Cook lasts to the second round.
I 100% agree with Skolsky. There's 3 big issues I have with Dalvin Cook. One is medical. And honestly, with the running backs, that's the shortest life of any position in the NFL. So if an NFL, medical people fail a running back, he's screwed. He's not going to be a first-round pick. Like James said, he's got fumbling issues, and he's got off-the-field stuff. I mean, we can say, oh, Joe Mix is not a first-round guy because he got busted on tape. That's really what it is. If Cook got busted on tape, he's not a first-round guy either. So. I agree with Skolsky. I could see him sliding out here.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I'm not seeing much.
Maybe T.J. Watt. He's been rising up a lot of boards.
No, because we didn't know T.J. Watt in the first round.
Same thing with Takk McKinley. We didn't get Takk McKinley in the first round
either. Yeah.
Gerard Davis.
I like Davis a lot. I think he's going to be a good player.
He was a guy I thought about Oakland. But I just said, you know what, the Raiders really need help at the defensive back position. But a linebacker for the Raiders could have made sense there at Davis or Cunningham, depending on who you like more.
Cunningham's another. Did we get Cunningham drafted?
No, we didn't.
No, not.
That's enough.
David Njoku too, out of
there you go.
Hell of a player too. I like Ingram a lot. I know he's rising quickly, but he's crazy athletic. I could see honestly, he probably won't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 3 tight ends in the first round.
Hindsight, I probably should have taken one of those tight ends with the Saints at 32, whether it was Ingram or it was Njoku. Hindsight, I probably should have taken one of those tight ends instead of Adoree Jackson. But at the same time, if you're the Saints and you realize, shit, all these corners are gone and we don't have a lot of assets to move up earlier, I could see either one of those. I agree.
Plus, they got the 10th pick or 11th pick in the second round. They could think one of those tight ends slide there since there are 2.
That's a good point. In this conversation, one of them probably could. Definitely Ingram, maybe not Njoku, but definitely
Ingram.
I was definitely considering Njoku for the Steelers as well. There's someone that could. I know Ben. They said Big Ben's been asking for the tight end, but at the end of the day, I think they just need that edge rusher.
Yeah, I'd agree with Skolsky or the Giants.
Giants are. That's both of those are my picks, and he was very close to being both of those. So.
That would be scary if he goes to New York.
Yeah, that would be terrifying. The only silver lining would be their offensive line would be the question mark. So, you can have all the weapons in the world, but you don't have time to get it to them.
Exactly. Yeah, you got. It all starts up front, both sides of the ball, man. You got to have the big lineman that it can play, and offensively, obviously, you don't get any time for your quarterback to throw. Nothing. I don't care how good you are, you're not going to do anything. And defensively, if you can't get pressure and just kind of cause chaos inside, I mean, that's where defense starts. It starts inside out.
Here's a perfect example. When the Colts last year drafted Philip Dorsett, and I was living in Indy at the time, I turned to my buddies and I said, "Congratulations, you're the best 7-on-7 team in the NFL." That's exactly what it was. There's no inside pressure, and if the Colts draft Njoku, hey, I'm cool with that. I understand why, but like Skolsky said, you still got to block for 5 seconds to let Eli get rid of the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think we're pretty much done now. We got any final thoughts before we head out?
I'm excited for Thursday, man. Anybody going down to the draft?
I'll be down there. I'll be down there with my Bitter Birds boys.
Nice.
Mike and Joe. We'll be down there. We all should meet up.
Yeah, I might
I
be
know
going.
Skulls-
I think I might go from work on Thursday and definitely going Friday.
I'll be
Okay.
down maybe to go Friday. I might watch. It's up to Bert though. Bert's gonna be in town, so
I'll go back down
They
Friday.
present it on TV. Like I'm like I want to see what it looked like broadcasted in Philly.
I'll tell you this. I went to it in Chicago, and I went to the first round, and personally, it's something I've done, and I don't think I'd ever really want to go again. And the reason I say that is because the only audio you get is when they announce the pick. There's no audio in between the picks. There's no music. It's just like awkward background noise. And then all of a sudden it's like Bears draft, blah, 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 done. And then it's just
Well, with
wild.
this one, they have that huge, like, basically outside section that's free, and I think that I don't know how it's going to be, but I think they probably will have like TVs and stuff up outside because you're going to be so far away from the venue in a lot of places. But it's just cool. It's in Philly. I mean, I don't know if this will ever happen again. I want to check it out, but like, yeah, I mean, I also like want to see what it looks like broadcasted on TV, and I think that the draft is just better seen on TV than in person.
Oh,
definitely.
I agree with that. But I'll be DVRing it, so I'll be the live experience and then DVR it.
There you go.
Watch it, check it out a little bit, and see what it looks like. So that's what I'll be doing.
Adrian, before we hop off here, I'm assuming the answer is probably going to be no, but do we have anything in our comment section of anyone violently disagreeing with us?
Oh, I'm sure. Actually, we have a lot of comments because we got a lot of live viewers on this show. Let me get to it if I can find it. Yeah, if anyone's got any comments.
Solomon Thomas, if anyone said anything.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's going to be like, what's wrong with you guys?
Sometimes that happens with players, though. Like, it's just we've seen it happen countless times. Great talent sliding.
Just slide.
For one reason or another. Pass on.
Example is when the Eagles got Jeremy Maclin. They're like, we barely even did our research on him because we just expected him to be so far gone by our pick.
I mean, to be fair, when I'm looking at this draft, guys, we had the last defensive lineman we had before Solomon Thomas was Jonathan Allen to the Titans at 6. We just didn't draft the defensive lineman. We just went all skill players and everything. And Reuben Foster and Lattimore were the only defensive guys. Oh, Reddick. But then, we just didn't think.
Yeah, we got some edge rushers in there, but
yeah.
Yeah, basically, people just kind of wanted to know who we're taking for the Eagles. Somebody thinks they should trade up to 10 and get Conley. I don't think you can trade up for the Eagles because I think, all the picks you gave up for Wentz. Now, they did get a lot of it back, but I wouldn't trade up in the first round. You got to trade back if you do anything. Somebody doesn't think we're going cornerback first round. Okay.
I mean, it's definitely not a given. Like, we have a lot of needs. You got wide receiver. You got edge rusher.
Yeah.
If Foster falls, I think he should be the pick. Yeah, we're sitting in a place where you got to go best player available. We're not a one position away from being a Super Bowl contender. So you just look at your draft board and you say who's the best guy there, and that should be the Eagles pick.
Yeah, well said. I agree with that 100%.
And the only cornerback I'd trade for is if somehow Lattimore falls to 10, then maybe I think, maybe I start making some calls. But as you said, Adrian, we're low on draft picks, so it has to be the right price for us to move up.
Somebody wants to trade back and get Joe Mixon. Somebody wants
Mixon's what I could see in the second round.
I wouldn't. Yeah, Mixon would be a second round guy.
There's rumors that we're one of the teams that has the green light to draft him. So I mean, talent wise, he's definitely a first round pick.
I mean, if we think back to like how our draft worked out, if the Eagles would have drafted one of the corners in 14, in this scenario, Mixon would have been there right at the start of the second. So that would have made a ton of sense for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the hindsight to know there'd be the run on corners and you went corner, you went rusher, I think they'd be in a lot better situation than they currently are with our scenario.
A great scenario would be trade back in the first round, get your cornerback 30. You go to the second round, you get Joe Mixon. That would be great.
Yeah.
Then we'd have another pick too. We can spend somewhere else. I mean, we might end up taking 2 corners in the second round, or 1 corner in the first and 1 in the second, and Joe Mixon. If we could get a second round pick,
if we go corner in the first and Sidney Jones is still there in the second. I mean, if Sidney Jones I have a hard time passing on him, no matter who we take in the first.
Yeah, I love Jones.
Yeah, if Sidney Jones or Joe Mixon, where are you going? I'd still go Jones.
Sidney Jones.
I think I have to go Sidney Jones. That's a tough one though, because Mixon can do it all. And, but Sidney Jones has that lockdown corner ceiling, which is
The Achilles injuries too is just tough to evaluate a player. It just depends how they're going to recover and how their body responds to treatment and everything. And it's just that they're going to really have to do their homework on him if they do take him in the second round. That being said, I think we're all on board if he's there in the second round.
I agree. If they have any hint of doubt of his injury, being like long term or him not getting back to form, then I understand go Mixon at that point. But if they talk to the doctors, they look at his the scans and all that, and they're comfortable with him getting back to 100%, even if it's not till next year, I think Sidney Jones could come back and be the best corner in the entire draft.
Somebody says McCaffrey is such a stretch at 14. We have so much talent at running back day 2 or 3. What do you guys, Brendan? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, define talent. I mean,
so a lot of people think there's a lot of depth at running back. I'm not so sure about that.
There's not depth after 3. I mean, after 4, I would say, because Mixon's the 4. But after that, I mean,
drop off. A lot of people like Kareem Hunt.
A lot of people like Kamara too.
Yeah, I'm not a big Kamara guy.
I said this about Kamara. I mean, he probably was the most underutilized guy in college because, he went through position change and stuff. So I really don't know definitively. I mean, he could be a stud, but I mean, there's not a lot out there to really say, I definitely banged the table for this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously not an Eagles fan, but the way I looked at it was, how can I make sure Carson Wentz continues to develop? And it's by putting weapons around him that's going to help him develop. And the run game is obviously the biggest one. So to me, I'm almost – because all three of you guys, Eagles fans, said it. We're not in a win now position. We're in a grow now position. And that's absolutely right, and that's the right mindset to have. So if you can draft more things around Wentz, help him develop, and like James said, go 8-8, and then once the defense comes around – now, all of a sudden, the offense is all good, and Wentz is completely developed, and he's used to the NFL system. He's used to speed. He's used to everything because you put weapons around him, help him develop appropriately. I think that's a smart move to make. But, I mean, if Conley's here or if you like one of the corners more than Christian McCaffrey, I'm okay with that too.
I think you got to consider the receivers too. Like I think John Ross would be an excellent fit here. I know,
Corey Davis too. I'd probably stay away from Williams just because I know they're planning on keeping Alshon long term. But I mean, at the same time, I guess you can't really. It's not a guarantee he's going to be in Philly. I mean, I think Ross and Davis are better fits, but all three of them if they're on the board, are definitely at play for the Eagles.
Yeah, the thing with Ross, if he's there, is we have Torrey Smith, and he is that one-trick pony. He can only blow off the top. But then you have John Ross who could come in and do that one trick on top of all the route running and all the other skill trees. So he'd be like
that's the thing that people keep saying, that they're misinterpreting. They don't realize that John Ross can run everything on the route tree. They don't realize this.
I've seen a really good article about him.
It's just not there because people think he's a one-trick pony. Just because he runs fast does not mean he can't do anything else.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a guy.
James, what was that?
Yeah, no, you wrote a really good article just about him, kind of analyzing everything, showing clips to back up your points. I mean, if people think he's just a vertical route runner, I mean, read that article. It breaks it down great. The guy's a lot more than that.
He's someone that he played corner for them when it was needed. He's not afraid to get physical. I mean, the only thing that scares me about him is obviously his injury history. So you got to be very comfortable with that to take Ross.
And I think, Adrian, if I remember correctly, you weren't too high on John Ross beginning of the year, I guess, per se. Yeah. And I guess you did your research on him. You like him more now, or what's your opinion on him overall?
It's amazing what watching extensive tape can do. So.
I will say I was one of the people guilty thinking that he was the one-trick pony. He's that guy. Wow, he had a great 40 time. But then, like you said, you watch the tape and you see that he's much more than that. So,
and you know what it is, Skolsky? It's because all three of you guys have that East Coast bias, and you don't understand the West Coast. Watch West Coast football and Pac-12. Don't worry, you guys just don't understand it. You're buried.
Been there for a year, 2 years.
Been here for a year, and I can start to say this. What was cool? I went to some of the pools this past weekend, and I was like, oh, look at all these tourists here in Vegas.
We're already one of those guys, yeah.
But here's the thing: John Ross plays fast, and he runs a pro route tree. I mean, he runs them all. So there's that. If I'm the Eagles in a dream scenario, all three of those receivers there, I think Corey Davis is the best pick because I think he's the hybrid of the three. I mean, exactly like James said, you already have Mike Williams essentially and Alshon, you already have a similar skill set of John Ross in Torrey Smith. So then Davis is the hybrid of the three. I think he's the best fit. And if that happens, or in my opinion, if any of three of those receivers are drafted, then you try to trade Jordan Matthews before Friday starts. So now you can trade up and get a corner. That's where you get the corner is.
See, that's a controversial thing, but I have to agree because, he's only 1 year left on his deal. You're planning on hopefully re-signing Alshon, the big receiver money.
Yeah.
You draft Jordan in the first round.
Money. We're not going to re-sign him.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Matthews.
Trade up before you lose it.
I
That's
agree.
the way I look at it.
With that. Trade him.
I mean, honestly, that's exactly why the Ravens traded Timmy Jarnigan was they weren't gonna pay him, so they traded him, moved up, to get up in the draft. That's what the Ravens did. That's what the Eagles should do if they draft the receiver in the first round.
We can say that Howie Roseman is not afraid of making trades, so
No doubt.
I would not
He
put that.
wheels and deals with the best of them.
That's right.
Does. All right, we got anything else? Every time I end this show, we keep going. Is this the quote?
What's everyone's dream pick for their team? I guess for us three Eagles, and then Brandon.
All right. You want to go, Skolsky?
Yeah, I said earlier. I think it's Corey Davis. I mean, he like Bert just said, he's the hybrid. He has the speed. He has the route running. He can make those insane catches. I mean, you see all the great receivers that came out of the MAC. I think he's someone that could be a true number one wide receiver, and I think he could be Carson Wentz's go-to guy for years to come. And having Alshon there is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
For me,
scenario would be like Marshawn Lattimore falling, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
If he was there, obviously.
Yeah, he won't. I don't think it'll happen. For me, I mean, if Lattimore falling would be great, but I mean, I'm just in love with Reuben Foster, man. I think the guy's going to be an absolute monster. If he falls to the Eagles at 14 and they pass on him, I'll be really disappointed. I mean, you put him and Hicks back there, and you'll have two of the best linebackers in the division, if not the conference. Two young guys that can kind of just lead the defense for years to come. And then just to add on that, to add to a dream scenario, if Sidney Jones is there in the second round and you get him, I mean, that would be amazing.
Absolutely.
I agree. Foster's too good to pass.
Yeah. Brendan, you got a dream scenario for the Ravens?
I mean, Myles Garrett. I mean, shit, if I'm asking Santa for my Christmas list, I might as well put Myles Garrett on the top of it. But
Say top realistic scenario.
0 chance. Unless Myles Garrett gets caught doing blow before the draft, there's no chance.
You never know after last year, right?
I mean, here's the thing. For the Ravens, like the Eagles, are in that BPA kind of mindset. But for them, it's offensive line help, receiver, or some type of edge player to kind of replace Suggs. So, I mean, Skolsky really nailed it with Corey Davis here. If Mike Williams on the board, I'm cool with that too. Charles Harris is on the board, I'm cool with that. If one of the lineman prospects is there, I'd be okay with that. I mean, both really, once you really get past like the top 12 picks of this draft, every team is the best player available. Every team is that, So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. All right, we will end this show now. We almost did an hour and a half on a freaking podcast. This is incredible. This is long as hell, but we spent like 45 minutes on the actual draft, and the other 45 minutes is bullshit.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
Some good bullshit, though.
It was some really good bullshit. Yeah, some exceptional bullshit. So, all right, we're going to end this now. Mike Skolsky, we popped his cherry. James Worthington, Brendan Albert, thanks for all the contributions, man. I'm Adrian Fedke. Tune in during the week. I guess Thursday night, Mike is going to be back. All right, Mike you guys have been clamoring for him. I know he's been working at the Philly Inquirer, so he hasn't been available, but I will be seeing him Thursday. We will be doing videos throughout the night. Jeremy, Mike, and I. So we will be live in Philly at the draft. We'll be down there. So that's it for this show. We're out. Peace.
Thanks, guys.